Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to reconnect with the chapter in our chapter check-in. And thanks also to the other people that will participate in the briefing today. First and foremost, we certainly wish you and your families and your colleagues and associates the best that one can wish in unusual times like these. You know, it's so interesting. I was thinking before the call, in the president role, I get a lot of interesting questions I never heard before. So people are always asking, you know, what does it mean to be a society? And you get all of these very smart, definitions about association of people around common interest and beliefs and profession. But times like these remind you that it's a society. It's about people. It's about being here for one another. Banding together and getting through this is as important as anything. So it's just such an honor to know so many of you and be associated with you for more than 15 years and being, again, able to give back a little bit in a role like this today. So what we want to do is give a briefing on many fronts. It's hard to believe last we were together as a group was February 19th. It feels like about 3 or 5 years ago. So much has happened since that time. But I'm just so delighted that the outcome of our work together has been very positive, as you will hear. And so I certainly, just like our luncheons, do want to start by thanking our sponsors. We know we've had downtime the last couple of months here, but in a time like this where we are limited somewhat on our physical programming and luncheons and income, sponsorship is very important. So we thank our platinum sponsors. We thank very much our gold sponsors and certainly our family of silver sponsors. But I do want to be very clear that we start sponsorship in first quarter of each year. So all of the people and firms that we've just shown were for prior year. So that's about 26 people. We have 6 sponsors at this point going into the new year. So we're certainly welcome any participation at any level as we go forward to support our organization in a time of such need. And also I want to say that kind of applies to membership and dues. I have to say, I think this year we're off to one of the strongest starts we've ever had in terms of having our dues and member renewals. So I want to say thank you very much. Usually the board will send out some loving phone calls and emails around this time, but we've been reticent to do that in light of current situation. But if you are able to renew, again, any income at this point certainly helps the health of our organization and is greatly appreciated. One theme that I do want to highlight today, and I'm calling it a culture of volunteerism, is just how much goes into the running, conduct, and work of this organization, and what an honor it is to work alongside people that are so dedicated and have been so for so long. So certainly amazing board of directors that we have listed here. But, kind of an interesting aside from all of this, I think, is an elevated level of relationship that's been built at the international level, both with the executive leadership there, but certainly with the other chapters. So it's just been a delight to have this spirit of collaboration and volunteerism, not only here in our local Ely chapter, but to see it evidenced literally around the world. And we so thank the work of the Economics Foundation and our global chapter by the leaders that are shown on the screen. I wanted to also really highlight the work of many people that volunteer their time at the chapter level. So we have been working through the initiative kicked off by our immediate past president, Jennifer Tammen, to develop a speakers bureau. And if you want something done, get Peggy Blanchard on it. So she's put together an amazing chair, and we're going to give you a more detailed report out on where that stands, but we're very excited about how this is coming together. Thank you to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. We kicked off programming last year specific around this, and it came to light very quickly that this kind of issue is not about a program. This is about everything that we do in our professional lives, as we do as an organization, Our Chautauqua this spring was going to be focused around this, or in our salon settings rather. So we do want to pick this up and make sure that we drive this important conversation and action further, especially in light of what we're seeing unfold, not only in our city, but in cities around America. The membership committee has been very active. We'll report out on our new class of 2020, but we want to thank everyone for all the time involved in that. It's a lot of work. And thank you also to our programming committee. We are going to launch a program. I'll say more about that as we go forward. So thank you, Angela and team. You know, in addition to that work, and even though we are all locked up in our beautiful birdcage here, we still remain relevant. So it's been just very rewarding to have been contacted by a number of very important organizations, American Planning Association, looking for opportunities to collaborate. Here on the slide in front of you, the CMET is doing a very important piece helping our local units of government and development community address local development incentives. So they contacted Lambda Alpha and asked if we could assemble a focus group of diverse experts. And thank you very much for the volunteers that are on the screen. I understand it was a very productive session, and that material will be forthcoming in the very near future. So again, it's great that our members bring value, not only one onto another, but within our professional community across the Chicagoland region. I also wanted to highlight the work of two of our members to really push forward and drive to the front of the conversation the essential need for a plan to guide the growth of not only our region, but certainly focused on Chicago. I was laughing that I'm 53 years old, and for my entire adult life, Chicago has not had an official plan. The last one was in 1965. And as an architect, I get so excited about the physical components, having worked on the central area plan, but it's just so imperative and fascinating to think about all of this crisis that we find ourselves in, on top of all of the social need that we already had identified here in Chicago, and just begin to imagine what a new plan of Chicago should address, how it would be very different perhaps from things we've done before. And I certainly believe this chapter and our organization should strive to be centered to this conversation as it goes forward. So thank you very much to John and to Les. And I encourage you to read more about this. It was in Crane's Chicago Business a couple of weeks ago, and the website is on the page here. I should have noted at the front of the presentation here that we will be taking questions and answers. So I wanted to give the group a heads up. There is a Q&A function, usually at the bottom of your screen in the Zoom format. And if you have things that come to mind as we go through this material, please do post that so that when we are at that point, we are ready to address your most pressing questions. I should have opened with that. So in terms of relationships and leadership, I'm so delighted that Dr. Sheila Harris, our international president, is able to join us today. Again, ironically, the last time we met as a group was in February, and Dr. Sheila was there. So thank you so much for joining us, and please share with us what's happening on the international front.
Thank you, Richard, for that kind introduction. And I think I may have to start paying Ely dues at this rate. I greatly appreciate being a member of LAI and have a special fondness for the Ely chapter. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity today to continue the dialogue that I think we have rearrangements with regarding to the Lou. I understand the weather was really nice last weekend in Chicago, and it was unfortunate that we weren't all together and be able to enjoy it, and also all the wonderful tours and other items that have been planned for our Lou meeting. As you know, this is very uncertain in what we're trying to accomplish as far as having the Lou. We have some things that are outside of our control, but I want to let you know that International is here. We are meeting weekly as our executive team, which is myself, the Vice President, Treasurer, Assistant Treasurer, Sheila Hamilton, and also Robert McBride, our former past president. to make sure that we are on top of the issues that are confronting us in these very uncertain times and how to be relevant with our programming. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute, but also that we want to make sure that what we do provide is meeting the needs of our constituents and members. And also we are doing it in a manner that as many people as possible can participate in and can safely participate. I want to thank Richard and Jennifer and Rob and Bill and Todd and Christine and John and Les and Larry Lund, not to be forgotten, because Larry's the one that he and I have been having some conversations and reminding me that the purpose of LAI is to be a thought leader. And really that has been a prime focus of what we've been working on. And in addition to all the challenges we've had given COVID, et cetera, we're working with LEF very closely too to better align the research that is being supported by LEF and how that can be of interest to our membership, as well as looking to incorporate that in LU planning in the future. So even though we're not meeting, we're very, very, very busy. We also want to keep in mind that as we go forward, what are some of the travel restrictions and how that might impact the LU? As you know, our border with Canada is not open at this time. That's not to say it won't be in the near future, but we just don't know. And we would also like to entertain some discussion and dialogue about, well, if we can't have as many people come to the LU as we would like, whether it's due to travel restrictions, their own personal situation, how can we work and get the great things that happen at the LU out to our members as well, so they can participate whether they're there physically or not. So that's probably the next phase that we'll probably be wanting to chat about some more. Also, I would like to thank Todd Kabamban and Phil Adams. They've shown great leadership in putting together a series of webinars. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that later. I won't get into the details now, but the effects of COVID on all of us and our chapters. And this may actually be an opportunity for us to have a lot more dialogue amongst ourselves via webinars or Zoom or other activities to share the impacts of this, and also just to get to know each other a little better, perhaps in a little different format, and hope to be rolling that out the third week of May. So please keep that in mind as you'll see announcements coming from LAI. I just want to close my remarks by saying International is here to help in problem solving in these uncertain times. We appreciate the good working relationship and the dialogue we've established with the Ely chapter. And I really want to thank you all for including us in your program today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheila. It means so much for you to be here with us, and we truly appreciate it. And as we turn to our next speaker and our topic, more detail about the Land Economics Weekend, I just have to say what a tremendous collaborative spirit we encountered with Dr. Sheila, the Board of Governors, and first and foremost, I'll say with the Los Angeles chapter in leadership, where we all banded together. We looked at the benefits and challenges that we all faced and charted this path forward together. And we are so fortunate as a chapter that we have a leader of the skill and ability as Ms. Jennifer Tammen. Not only did she wow us with her presidential skill last year, and we're seeing the fruit of that labor unfold with the Speakers Bureau and many other things, she was so excited that she actually decided to plan the LU twice. She had so much fun doing it. So without further ado, I would ask Jennifer to please give us an update about that.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you, Richard. It's great to be with all of you, even virtually. I'm excited just to see the names come up on the chat and say, oh, that's great to, see this person and that person's on. So hello, everybody. Thanks so much, Richard, for your camaraderie, your leadership, our COVID president. Really grateful for your friendship and your support, and to the board, and absolutely to Sheila. Thank you very much for being with us. And I think Sheila said it really well, as did Richard. It's been a wonderful collaboration. And I think we all know that out of things that are challenging and even tragic, there's a lot of positive things that come from that. And I think we're already experiencing a lot of that right now. So very encouraged by that. I think Sheila did a great job in summarizing really what we're thinking about and the considerations that are ongoing with respect to the LU. One thing that I want to make very clear is that on the ground in Chicago with the amazing LU committee that has been engaged for nearly 2 years, mind you, in planning this twice, as Richard mentioned, we are completely committed to delivering a program that is mindful and takes into account all of the guidance that we receive at a local, state, and national level. And we're also dedicated at the same time to providing programming and a program that addresses and provides value to our attendees and to our sponsors. So that is all at the forefront of our planning. It is something that you can count on and that we're working very hard to do. So it is challenging, but it really makes it a little bit easier when you've got an amazing committee that I could speak to if we go to the next slide. I'm not going to read all these folks, but really keeping in the spirit and the theme of this culture of volunteerism, I think there's no better example of that than looking at all the folks that have been involved, over 25 folks in this core group in planning our Chicago LU. And there's so many other members that have been involved in volunteering to be tour guides or to be bus captains or to, just handle logistics of corralling folks and connecting us with so many of the resources that we have with our layout of tours and programs. So I can't thank you all enough for moving this forward. But just in terms of logistics, as it stands right now, if you were registered for the, originally registered for the LU that was to happen last weekend, your registration will automatically transfer. And of course, if you were to look at any hotel reservations, those are again with the Intercontinental. So all that stays in place at this point. And we're again working to make sure that the content stays fresh and relevant and is reflective of kind of what our reality is, as much as that's changing on a daily basis. So that's just a brief update on the LU. And then the other topic that Richard wanted me to touch on was the Speakers Bureau. So really excited to announce that we've got it up and running. A couple of us have kind of already uploaded to kind of try it out, and we've got our profiles on there. But just as an overview, just wanted to make sure that everybody knows what we're talking about, what we're speaking about, pun intended. So the Speakers Bureau is a benefit that we're going to be bringing to the chapter. And we think it's more important now than ever that we're in this virtual world. We're doing meetings this way. We're connecting. We're able to connect easily or more easily without the need for travel to connect with our national colleagues and international colleagues. But this Speakers Bureau is an opportunity for you to exemplify your expertise and put forth your bio and go through a series of selections of areas that you would like to be included in. So that way, if there are organizations or groups or companies that are looking for an expertise in a certain area of land economics, they could search and find you. And this is something that the Speakers Bureau Committee has done an amazing job at really trying to think through every aspect of it. And a key part of that is rolling this out and marketing it. It's great if we all can market to one another, but we really want to highlight the accomplishments and the expertise of our members, both nationally and internationally. So we have a very targeted marketing and outreach campaign that we will roll out to organizations that have that national and international reach. And of course, we will be marketing that through all of the chapters throughout LAI. And hopefully there'll be other chapters that will take this upon themselves to maybe roll out similar programs to further benefit and highlight the expertise and accomplishments of their members. So that's coming, and that'll roll out in August. You'll get lots of notification for the online application process. And again, look forward to really populating that database with all of our wonderful members and the topics and ideas that, that we're able to share. Before I turn it back over to Richard, I did want to touch on something that was so important that he spoke about in his first comments, and that remembering that we are a society of thought leaders But the real value that we have and what we all miss so much is being at a luncheon together and being able to talk and connect, because any discipline within land economics we know is so interconnected, and it's all about relationships and that personal connection. So I just want to, first of all, thank everybody, because I know everybody's trying to do their part in their personal lives and professional lives to stay connected to your neighbors, to your family, and to your colleagues, just to make sure people are okay, maybe have a laugh, which is great. And also just to kind of share how your business is changing, where are the opportunities, how can we, evolve our skills and our experience to adapt and change and move with things that are happening. And I specifically want to encourage everybody to really remember your younger colleagues, and be very mindful of that. I work in an environment with a vast array of demographics, including ages. And when you think about it, a 28-year-old, as an example, was only 9 years old when 9/11 happened. And they were only 18 years old when 16 years old when the Great Recession happened. So they haven't lived through something that has really literally rocked our world in a not a great way in their professional life. So a lot of these folks could really use some guidance, could really use just some reassurance from folks that have been through some challenging times and the uncertainty with your job or your career, or just kind of what's going to happen with our day-to-day activities. So I would encourage you all, if you're not doing that, to connect with some of your younger colleagues and let them know that we're getting through it and everything is going to be even better on the other side. So with that, I want to thank you again for your time and just everybody's support. And I look forward to being with you all again, hopefully very soon. Richard?
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That is so important, and thank you. Perhaps the most important thing said today. So thank you very much, but also thank you for your outstanding leadership on both the LU and certainly the Speakers Bureau and all the volunteers. It's greatly appreciated. So just to remind people, we will take some questions and answers. I'm sure you probably have some about the LU. I have a few more slides I'd like to go through, so be prepared when we get to the question and answer section of the briefing today. I wanted to touch on, not only LU, but we've also had an impact to our annual June event, the Initiation Banquet. So I am delighted to report that we have been able to reschedule it for Wednesday, October 21st. So save the date, mark your calendar. We were able to negotiate with the Peninsula Hotel so that the chapter incurred no additional fee or penalty for this. So we see this as really, hopefully, coming together, but an opportunity not only to celebrate our new class and the accomplishment of some of our well-honored members, but also to celebrate a tremendous coming together around the LU. So again, Wednesday, October 21st, Initiation Banquet. I also wanted to thank all of the membership. We did something for the first time this year. We had an online voting vetting on the voting process here. Thank you very much to Lindsay Sorrell for leading the membership committee, everyone that participated. And so we are so excited to have an outstanding class of 22 new members. We are sorry that we've not been able to shake hands and be face-to-face and move into the June as usual, but you will be a class forever remembered. Hopefully not called the COVID class, but we can talk about that in October. Programming, wanted to highlight and follow up on what I had mentioned earlier, that the chapter is going to certainly resume programming. We're going to do it on our third Wednesday, our usual slot. It will be virtual in the near term, and we look forward to being face-to-face. So thank you to the programming committee. They have pulled together what I believe will probably be a theme in all of our programming for the next several months, which is kind of the reaction, impacts, opportunities, and pitfalls that we are going to encounter across multiple sectors within the fields of land economics. So great interest here on its impact on housing. So we will have representatives from the financial community and from the housing community at both ends of the spectrum here. So again, save the date, registration will open soon, and we thank the committee for organizing that. Just to have a slide here to follow up on Dr. Sheila. Again, very excited about the LAI programming, and I want to say a special thank you again to Todd Cabanban, who is our International Vice President of Communications. I won't say he's the what do they call those, the marionette pulling the strings, but He's just been tremendous to put people together, to come up with new ways to use technology, to crack the whip, to make sure we're ready for things like briefings today. And, you know, that's real work, labor, and love. And so we thank you very much. And also Phil Adams, just tremendous help with messaging, the look and feel of our organization and the programming. So special thank you there. In leadership from Ms. Karen Chow in Los Angeles, we were on a call and just think it's going to be so interesting to bring representatives of different chapters together on a number, a few series of programs to talk about statistically a snapshot of what's happening in our individual parts of the world, but then to come together around a few questions as a group as we look forward to the future. So look for your email. Details will follow from LAI for that programming. And so finally, just to wrap up here, and you can get your questions in so that we can turn to questions and answers next. But we did want to make certain that we have a center of gravity, a place, a home base to go to. If you are having any question, concern, if you know of a neighbor, colleague, anything at all that the Ely chapter could do to support, we want to be certain to do that. What's also been very interesting is many are affiliated with organizations that have a lot of research or looking at best practices, or we've encountered in our professional practice interesting webinars or different ways to share information. So we want to make sure that what is available to us as individuals is made available as a group. So if you have any question, concern, anything, first, you're always welcome to pick up the phone and call me. This is my mobile number here. Brad is always gracious and available as well. But we have established a email address here, covidhelp@elychicago.org. And please, again, if you have any questions, concerns, insights, something you would like to share, let's rally around this resource as a way to come together. So this officially concludes the content section of our briefing today. And so I believe we'll ask Mr. Brad Ball to field some questions and to say hello to the group. And we welcome the dialogue. I will say that within our time allotment, surely we won't be able to answer everyone's question, but we will collect them. We will provide answers. We will provide this video of today's Zoominar and print material on the chapter website immediately after our session today. So with that, Brad, do we have any questions from our participants?
Yeah, can you hear me okay, Richard?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's see, the first question I can just give an answer for. Are there a lot of members logged in today? We have 68 people participating today, so really terrific. Yeah, an excellent showing. Let's see, first question from Jackie Lowy. What will we be doing with the handful of new member candidates who need to attend one or more meetings to fulfill their requirements prior to the installation? Or prior to the initiation, now that we've moved to the virtual programming? There were just a couple of members that still needed to get a second event. So I think we probably have some of their sponsors and co-sponsors on today.
Well, I would not take it upon myself to speak for the board. This is a new policy, as everyone knows, that we do want people to attend, kind of get to know us before coming forward. However, everyone must recognize this is an unusual year and circumstance. I think what you will find is the chapter being very welcoming, opening, flexible, and nimble. And we will have virtual programming, so we would ask for them to attend, and I'm certain we can navigate those waters successfully. I cannot imagine a scenario where we would turn people away this year.
Great, excellent. Let's see, next question from Terry Haymaker. Are we considering setting up interactive sessions that Ely members can share stories, learn from each other, plan for the future of our city and communities, etc.?
Hi, Terry. Thank you so much for that question. I think the answer is an absolute yes. So we convened a small communications group a couple of weeks ago and wanted to talk about ways to proceed virtually. And one thing that really resonated with us was what an interesting opportunity we have for using technology such as this and other means that we could actually host a series of mini salons. We could have ways to bring people together around topic matters or informal ways to share stories and best practices and the like. So instead of, having 1 month, one time slot where we convene as small groups and have a discussion, this is an opportunity that we have, frankly, weekly, daily, monthly. So I would reach out to membership and ask what you are most interested in. I would ask, would you like to host or organize these programs, and let's build this. And I would lean heavily alongside my partner, Angela Brooks, who is Vice President of Programming, but we absolutely support this as a concept. We talked about it ourselves, and we think it's very important. So the answer is yes.
Okay, let's see. I'm seeing if we have any other questions, but I think that, oh, one more just came in. How will recruiting additional participants to the LU, how will we be recruiting additional participants to the LU once the future becomes a little bit more clear?
Yes, Jennifer, to speak to that.
Sure. If the question is additional participants, I'm not sure, I'll address it both ways. I'm not sure if that means participants in terms of tour guides or programming, or if that means actual attendees. But I could say with respect to, the attendees, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, which is, talking about it, making sure that we're keeping things fresh with respect to the program and the programming, and how the content and the activities can be accessed. Again, this is, the future is going to become more clear every day, and then it'll probably change again. But I think that we'll continue to, to make sure that, again, we're trying to make this an event, as we always do, that as many people as possible can attend and partake in and get value from. If there is a thought about, or if that question was geared in part toward, participants for, tours or programming and so forth, we've got an amazing group that's already, teed up for that, and we're in communication with them, and they understand that we're kind of needing to be flexible and fluid in terms of what particular shape that tour program might take. Is part of it or some of it virtual? Is it going to continue on to be kind of live and in person? And then also, what other take do we want them to include in terms of impact to either their business, or to their organization, or to the physical structure that we might be evaluating, and how is that being impacted? So I mean, we're working all of that into our evaluation as we look at programming going forward. So I hope that answers the question.
Great,
Very
thank
good.
you. Yeah,
Very
excellent.
Good.
Thanks,
so
Jennifer.
One more
Thanks,
question.
Richard.
Yep.
We are actually out of questions, and I think just about out of time. So Richard, you want to take us out here?
Very good. Well, I just certainly want to begin by thanking our colleagues here. Dr. Sheila Harris, thank you so much for taking time to share with us. Thank you for all that you do. We truly appreciate it and look forward to a bright future. Thank you very much, Jennifer Tammen, for all you do. You're a rock star. You're just tremendous. You look great. I don't know how you got outside in Millennium Park, but good for you. And I will say this is the first jacket I've had on since February. And so I'm so honored to get the opportunity, and there's no one else I'd rather do that for than the Ely chapter of Lambda Alpha International. So thank you very much. All of this information will be posted online on the website, as will the video of our conference call today. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and joining. And we look forward to seeing you one way or another in the very near future. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Great job, Richard. Bye, folks.
Bye.